Well, all right, guys, welcome to another episode of How Ugly Is My Face. And I just wanted to talk about how inefficient and horrible this place is where I live. Because I've been here for so long. I think I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else. And that would be Southern California. So anyway, I've lived here a long time now. And what I can tell you is that inefficiency, other than just looking at my face and moles, hey, that's looking pretty good over there. What about here? I shaved pretty well today. The nose thing, the middle, so on and so forth. It's about the same as yesterday. A little worse because I didn't get much sleep. But inefficiency, let's do the weave and go back to inefficiency. Because that always works out well. Anyway, so let me tell you a couple of funny stories. One of the funny stories was I came here when I was green, completely green, young, with my parents. And so we went to check out the Academy of Art University. So before then, I had already, accomplished double two degrees. I had 2 degrees in a previous decent school, which was University of Kent at Canterbury in the UK. And that is actually a university that prepares you for, gives you the skills for the future. So that was a really good university. And how I know is that after I graduated from that, I went straight to work. I found a job in Glasgow. Sir Billy the Vet. Sir Billy the Vet was the animated cartoon thing that I worked on. And Sean Connery, of course, was the main dude in that thing, and they have all kinds of stuff going on. But anyway, that is a university that leads to real employment. And then, because the teacher that taught me there said, when I was young, I went to the Academy of Art University in the United States. And I thought, maybe I'll go there, right? But never do that. Never do that unless the company that you're currently working for spends all the money for you and, says, okay, well, we really need to upskill you or whatever. And so they pay for you to go back to university. That's the only time when you should do that. You should never do that on your own unless you decide to go for business, right? If you go for, if you decide to go into a business university, that's not a basket weaving thing. And so degree. And so that may still be okay. But other than that, definitely don't do that if you're like in the art or the technology world, because by the time you get out of the university that you go in, the stage, the entire system, the pipeline and all the way that things are done have moved on so quickly that you've just become outdated. So anyway, don't do that. But what I wanted to talk about is inefficiency in California, right? So we went to talk to these people, and of course, California being California, does what it always does, which is it puts all the money and resources in, sales and bringing people in to the Academy of Arts University, and they have absolutely no money dedicated to actually helping students when they graduate to get into the business field, right? One of the things that I kept talking about is how they did not have a career center in this university, which is absolutely pathetic. But even without talking about that, they had all these people and they're ready, like they tell you, because we asked all the questions, right? You show up and you're like, so how early could my son, get a job once he graduates, or before graduation? Is there a way to get him into something, right? So the biggest 2 lies were, one is they said most kids, when they come to this university, they get snatched even before they graduate. That was one lie. And then, oh yeah, it's almost guaranteed. Like if you graduate with a decent grades, your kid is definitely gonna find a job here in the United States. Another lie. And the third lie was, even if you don't get a job right away, if you put your name on the waiting list, you might be able to work directly in the university itself, as a teaching assistant, or, doing the same kind of work that those people are doing in sales, trying to like get you in the door, stuff like that. So of course, as an idiot, right? As an idiot who'd listened to all this garbage, one of the first things that I did was put my name on the waiting list to try to get on, to be like a representative there. So being customer service there at the University of, Academy of Art University, and also, started doing like networking with my instructors, my teachers and stuff like that, to see if I could get in right away, right? Because that's what you do. You go to university to build network with your peers and your teachers, because they're supposed to have the connections into the field. So then it makes a quick and smooth transition. Once you gather the skills that you need to work, then you're straight in there, right? So all of that failed, by the way. And I'm probably still on the waiting list to get a job there. So that was one ridiculous thing. And then the other ridiculous thing was, many years after I'd failed getting into, Hollywood and creating computer graphics and all that stuff and all that, my father spent extra money to try to help me find a job in the United States. If nobody's willing to hire you with all the 3 degrees, 3 masters, 2 master's degrees and 1 bachelor's degree in technology and computer animation, all that stuff, basket weaving degrees, basically, it's worth less than toilet paper. Then, if nobody's willing to hire you, maybe you can create your own job. So I started like trying to do all these kind of things, and like getting into engineering, building new products, creating video games, all this cool kind of stuff, which also obviously failed. But one of the things that I thought, like, what I'll do, maybe my dad said, you'd be really good for 3D printing. So then I started looking at companies that would build my models. And so I started like contacting them. And I think there were 2 companies in Irvine, California, that actually build 3D models. And so I put my name down on the waiting list to try to figure out what they could do to build models that I had already prepackaged and that were ready to go. And turns out I'm still on the waiting list. And it's like, maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years. And because they're so crappy, all these companies, I ended up buying my own 3D printer and starting to learn how to do 3D printing, and did all of this other stuff. So that is the problem with California. California is one of the most inefficient places in the universe. And yet, we're supposed to have the best clean air, water, and soil. We're supposed to be at the forefront of technology, but we can't do anything here. It is so frustrating to live in California. So I don't understand how Silicon Valley continues to promote this, that, and the other. Oh, we're now going to be the leaders in AI. They failed at that too. China is now leapfrogging them into the future. And we're losing on everything.